Part 29, and the end is nigh. I reckon maybe this part, one more part, and then it's done. Oh, I can't wait till it's done. Anyway, where were we? Well, I've spent the last few days on and off, bits and pieces here and there, cleaning things up a bit. So the first thing I needed to do is, it was a bit of a mess, not just from a kind of, well, you want it to look a little bit nice, I guess, but actually it was such a mess, it was hard to see what needed filling out, what didn't need filling out. There was just fields everywhere. So I have spent a little bit of time making it look less 90s, and making it hopefully a lot easier to lose, a lot easier to use. So let's have a look at what I did there. So here's the control panel before and after. The ingredients summary form. The new ingredient form. The stock list form. The restock form. The recipe form, the mix form, the edit ingredient form. So I hope you enjoyed that little Homes Under the Hammer style reveals of the before and after. So yeah, it's kind of, it looks alright anyway. The most important thing, and probably one of the most complicated, was to get the mix form a little bit more manageable. As you can see, actually there was a whole bunch of fields, and I've got most of them down to a little bit, and actually most of these are just for information anyway. They're either being pulled out of the tables or they're being calculated, so these are the only, well, even the date's automatically inserted. You could change it if you want. Yeah, and then the weights down there. Obviously the most important parts is selecting the ingredients, that's been tidied up, and then any sort of comments are down at the bottom here. Yeah, so the other thing that I did to this was that when you create a new mix, so let's create a new buzzkill mix, it starts out with everything hidden until you put in the volume. Let's say we're going to mix 50 ml. You click create, it populates everything and sort of pulls it all out. Completely unnecessary, but it does draw your attention better to what you have to do when you first open the form. So let's abort out of that, and let's go back, and yeah, organising and styling I'm going to call done. So what else do we have to do? Well, there's a few snag items as well as styling things. I've gone through things which kind of I overlooked or didn't quite work right, or just needed finishing off. So on all forms we need the proper enabling of the buttons. Mostly that is the abort buttons, close buttons and that kind of thing. There was a bit yeah, all a bit mixed up on how it works. So I've now done that as an example. Can I think of a good example? Well, yeah, I suppose we could use that one again. So now the consume, create, abort are all greyed out. Obviously when you've entered your volume, the create button is enabled, the consume button is then enabled, and the abort button is then enabled, because there are things that if we just close this would be saved, and that's why we have a changes thing up here, which I will get to in a minute. So we'll abort that so there's nothing saved. Basically the same thing on every form, just making sure that the buttons come up at the right time. As you just saw, I've added this changes warning, so that basically when anything changes on a form and you just, if you hit the close button, that's actually going to save changes. You may not want to do that, and there's a specific one, and if I remember what it is, I think it might be the restock one actually. Yeah, the restock one by default, when you open the form, it's already made some changes to the table, which is why the changes button is lit up already and the abort button is lit up already, because simply by, and let's abort, simply by clicking this button, if we just hit close, it's going to save a restock with basically nothing in it, which is not good. So yeah, there's the abort button and the changes button to give us some kind of warning. So that's those two. New ingredient, I needed the ability to add a suffix, and if you were paying attention, the first time through, it looks a bit different now. The first time through we could add a new ingredient name, and then we could pick out from a list of the existing suffixes, which is all good and well, makes life easier as long as the suffix is already there, as long as the manufacturer of that ingredient is already in there. And of course it won't be in every case that we might buy an ingredient from a new manufacturer. So I've basically just added in a little box here where we could put in an ingredient, let's say green snot, and it's made by, let's say, who don't I have? Well, let's just make one up. Acme. Acme's not in the list, so we can add in Acme, and yeah, that'll do. We'll close that, that'll be saved. And if we look down this list, what did I just call it? Oh yeah, green snot. Green snot is in the list here somewhere. Green snot, there you go, and it now has Acme. So if we were to create another new ingredient, Acme will now be one of the options. So that is that. The new recipe abort and close buttons, yeah, they were just missing altogether, so I've just added them. Mix form, had to organize the buttons better because, well, they were just kind of all over the place. Let's have a look at a mix. So yeah, we had buttons mostly sort of down here next to the create button, and I've just put them all up in the bar. So yeah, and well, that's kind of it. There is one more thing that I need to do, that I'll do over the next couple of days, and that is that I need to convert this into more of a standalone, wouldn't say application, because it's going to be kind of running Access in the background. If I really wanted to, I could put the Access redistributable executable thing in, but I don't need that because I've got Access. So basically, long story short, going to get rid of all of the Access Chrome, i.e. all these bits on the side, all of these record controls, pretty much all of the toolbars, so you're just left with a very basic set of toolbars. Have it open up automatically, so that basically we can't really muck around with all this. It just makes it simpler, less likely to screw anything up when I'm using it. So I'm just going to, the only controls that will be available to me is purely the ones that I have created here. I will include a little button or control panel here to basically bring back all of the Access controls so that I don't have to close out and shortcut in and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I can just click a button to get everything back if I need to actually edit something that I either didn't foresee in my controls, or that I just need to update or correct in the actual Access code. But yeah, I'll get around to that. Well, maybe tomorrow. It might take a couple of days. Who knows? And that will be the final video. That will be the final video. Looking forward to it. Watching paint dry would be more interesting.